The teacher I will never forget is Patty Roach. She was my third grade teacher, and it was in third grade that I knew I wanted to be a teacher. She taught to where I understood. She was funny, like you always knew when you would get her going, and she would laugh, and she'd always hit her knee. That was her trademark. She'd always like laugh and hit her knee, and I don't know, I was just in awe of her like every day, and I would sit in my desk and I was like, yep, that's what I want to be. I want to be a Patty Roach.
My favorite teacher from the past was Mr. Rush. Mr. Rush was my PE teacher at Hosea Elementary School, and I remember talking to Mr. Rush about things that had nothing to do with school. I grew up without a dad in my house, and so having that positive male mentor was great for me. And when I think back, to who really got me to go into education, it's him.
I mean, even though I remember all of my teachers from grade school especially, there's a couple that stand out, and that was Mrs. Lewis, my sixth grade teacher, and Mrs. Smith, my seventh grade teacher. Mrs. Lewis knew that I loved science. And this is at the time when most of my buddies, they were really getting into sports. It didn't mean that much to me yet. So she really encouraged me to really pursue the sciences, which really led to my first career, which was in medicine. And then Mrs. Smith, she was just meticulous about grammar. I found myself wanting to talk like she did, which as a seventh grader is kind of crazy. But to this day, and I hope I'm a credit to what she taught me, but to this day I think about how I speak and how I write, and I really have to credit her for that.
The teacher I will never forget is Julie Kemper. She was my physical education teacher, and she was just really wonderful with the kids. She was a person that would listen to us. She interacted with us, and she was very approachable, which made it very comfortable for us to go to, and actually made us want to go to her and be our friend, because she was just so nice and caring, and she showed that.
Well, there's actually several, because I love a lot of my teachers. I will never forget Nancy Briggs. She was my Latin teacher. She taught me compassion and how to have fun in the classroom and how to love learning. I will never forget Mr. George and Mr. Reynolds. They taught my tag class, and really the depth of learning that we had in there and the enthusiasm for the subject. I will always carry that with me. And then the last one, Mrs. Newhart, she was a former lawyer, and I also taught the same subject, government, and she taught me so much about knowledge and to love your subject. But really, all those four teachers, I will always carry the lessons that they shared with me.
The teacher I'll never forget is Barry Reynolds, who was my English teacher my junior year of high school, and I taught my talented and gifted humanities class my senior year. He was single-handedly the coolest guy I'd ever seen. He could write poetry that would blow you away. He was always prepared. He would get excited about an idea and his finger would shake. I never ever wanted to let Mr. Reynolds down. I worked harder for him in a class I knew I was going to have an A in. I just worked extremely hard because I never wanted to let Mr. Reynolds down.
I think passion would be the word, and also a love for their students.
Encouraging.
I think those that have impacted me most throughout my life were caring.
The one word I would use to describe teachers that have impacted me is authenticity.
I would say savior. I just know that without the positive mentorship that I had through all of my teachers, that impacted me, that I could have ended up, someplace completely different than where I am today.
One of a kind.